Let me tell you an incredible story of faith, miracles, and divine provision. It's about a prophet named Elijah and a widow who had nothing left but somehow gained everything. During a terrible drought in Israel, God sent Elijah to a small town called Zarephath. Now imagine being told by God to seek help from someone who barely had enough to survive themselves. That's exactly what happened. When Elijah arrived at the town gate, he saw a widow gathering sticks. She was preparing what she believed would be the last meal for herself and her son. Times were desperate. She had just a handful of flour and a little oil left. That was it. They were literally planning their last supper. But Elijah, with unwavering faith, made what seemed like an impossible request. He asked her to make him a small loaf of bread first, before making anything for herself or her son. Now put yourself in her shoes for a moment. A stranger asking you to give away the very last of your food? It must have seemed absurd. Yet here's where the story takes an amazing turn. Elijah promised her something extraordinary. The jar of flour will not be used up and the jug of oil will not run dry until the day the Lord sends rain on the land. And you know what? This widow, despite her desperate situation, chose to trust. She took that leap of faith. What happened next was nothing short of miraculous. Day after day, every time she went to prepare food, there was always enough flour in the jar and enough oil in the jug. It wasn't abundant, it wasn't overflowing, but it was exactly what they needed every single day. This wasn't just about food, though. It was about trust, about believing in something greater than ourselves, about how sometimes our greatest blessings come when we're willing to give even when we think we have nothing left to give. The story of Elijah and the widow of Zarephath reminds us that sometimes the most powerful miracles don't come as grand spectacles, but as daily provisions that sustain us through our darkest times. When we trust and step out in faith, even our smallest acts of obedience can lead to the most extraordinary outcomes.